So if I would do this tomorrow morning, what would you think of?
Yogurt and bread.
Exactly, but I didn't tell you to think that. Right? But you would automatically, if I do it tomorrow, now if I would do it in a year from now, you might and might not remember. But if you've seen it 3 or 4 times, no matter how much you try to not think of yogurt in the refrigerator, you still think it.
Is that how the Amish make yogurt in the refrigerator?
No. The point is that we've all been programmed by things in our life. Certain things happen, and we think of certain things, right? And so some people, they see a man, and they get triggered because they were programmed that men are bad. Some people see some men are fine, men with beards are bad, or men without beards are bad, or this situation is bad, or that thing over there is bad, because we've all been programmed through our life of certain things. Some of them good, some not so good. But whenever certain things happen, we remember, we get triggered. And so my friend last night was triggered back to when he was a little boy and he was sexually abused by his grandfather. Is that right? And how many times in his life was he triggered back to that section? And it destroyed his marriage, it destroyed his relationships, it kept him from being able to get close to people because of that programming. Last night, he got reprogrammed. This morning, he's up here telling you that he got reprogrammed. He got rid of that program that was running in the background, and now he's installing another one. And the reason that I ask him if he's going to believe or not is because in with believing and being excited about this, he was keeping on a little bit of unbelief in there just in case it doesn't work. Right? And then if down the road something goes wrong, he could at least say, well, I wasn't sure about that all along. And so I'm going to keep watching him and keep removing that unbelief so that he can operate in full speed ahead with faith the rest of his life. See, we kind of try to keep things around just in case. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Yeah. We keep things around just in case. That way we can still be right even if it goes wrong. But that stuff destroys us. If we can get rid of that and we can operate in faith all the time, even when something goes wrong, it's better to have faith. Anybody know what I'm talking about? So if something goes wrong, and I'm going to have faith in God anyway, I'm going to find a way through. But if something goes wrong and I had that card in my back pocket that says, well, I never quite believed it anyway, then I'll play that card at that moment and get hooked right back in. And so many people keep those cards in their back pocket. They get hooked back in, and then they wonder why it doesn't work. And they think somehow God messed it up. I'm telling you, God did not have you keep that card in your back pocket. That was the devil. That was you trying to stay in control. And there's a whole bunch of people in this room that have a whole bunch of cards in your back pocket just in case something goes wrong. Just in case this and just in case that. And I'm inviting you to pull out those cards and examine them. Just look at them and decide, is this what I want? Do I want to keep this in my back pocket? Or am I ready to hand in all my cards and trust God completely? Am I ready to go all in? So, if we would take a scale of 1 to 10 of your relationship with God. And we would say 5 is neutral. You're neither for or against. You're just kind of hanging out there in no man's land. 4 would be you're slightly against God, but you're kind of keeping it open just in case God might be real. 1 would be like, nah, I'm done with God. Just whatever. And 10 would be I'm all in for God. 5 neutral. Anybody want to guess which level is probably your hardest one? 10?
Not 9.
9? 1? 6? What? 5? 6. I would go with 6. You're no longer neutral. You're slightly trying it. You're not getting enough of power out of it to really make a difference. Now you're disappointed with God because it doesn't do your beck and call, but you're not invested enough to give it any power. And you're just kind of, I tried that God thing and it didn't work.
Can I give a visual for that one?
Yeah.
It's when you're about to go swimming and you got your foot in the water and it's cold. You're at the beach and the water is cold. You know when you just jump in and swim, it's going to warm up and you're going to have fun, but you're standing there trying the water and it's cold. You say, I don't want to jump in there.
Another example would be that you're about to go up this big hill and you have a truck, big truck, but you have a governor on it that does not allow it to have any power. And you're trying to go up that hill without any power. What if you could operate at full power? I believe that out of those, 10 is the easiest. Because now you're invested. Now you're all in. And if something goes wrong, you know that somehow it's going to work out. In fact, can I give you a Bible verse? All things work together for good for those who love God and are called according to his purposes. So my question is, do you love God? And are you called? If you love God and you're called, then all things work together for good. When you're going through the valley of the shadow of death, it is a lot easier if you're thinking, I wonder how this is good, than it is if you're going, this is awful, I am terrible, I hate God, stuff like that. If you're going through there and you're wondering how, I'm just excited to see how this is going to be good someday, somehow. Like I'm not seeing it right now, but that's what the Bible says, and so I'm going to believe it. And it's amazing how you can find something good out of that. A lot of times what it is, it's character building. It builds your character, it builds your stamina, it builds your strength. It's like, how many have ever done like push-ups or anything like that? Why do you do that? All you do is you get down, you go up and down. Kind of pointless, isn't it? I mean, up and down, up and down. And at the end of it, you're sore. Who does that? And why do you do it?
Strength. For strength.
For strength. Yeah. Okay? So, that's what happens when we go through trials, and tribulations with God. When God allows you to go through trials and tribulations, it's like push-ups. And it gives you more strength for the future. It gives you more power and authority, because God will never give you more power and authority than what your character can hold. Somebody needs to write that down. God will not give you more power and authority than your character can hold. You know why? Say why.
Why?
Because He's a good God. No good God would give you more power and authority than what your character can hold, because it would destroy you and others. So then what happens is you see somebody else with power and authority and you want it too, and so you start cheating. God didn't give it to you, so you start duplicating what they're doing, or taking some steps, or not getting your foundation right. And you build your building anyway, and then your building crumbles and falls down, and you wonder why God let you down. But God's not letting you down if He never built you up in the first place. Let me say that again. God is not letting you down if He never built you up in the first place. Right? If you're a self-made man, then you're probably not going to go very far. A house built on the sand looks just as good as the house built on the rock when everything's nice. Till the storm comes. Right? Does that make sense? Your Christian life can look just as good as the next person when everything's going good. But when the storm comes, we'll find out who had the character built and who was the fake. Right? Most of the times, the storms come fairly rapidly. In other words, most of you, okay, let me ask it this way. How many of you have ever met a fake Christian? Raise your hands way high if you have. I want to see your hands, okay?
I know I talked to them. I'm one of them.
Okay, so how do you know they were fake?
Their fruit was rotten.
By their fruit.
Lukewarm. Lukewarm.
Lukewarm?
By their fruit.
They didn't weather a storm? Something went wrong in their life and they blew apart? Right?
I was getting apples off a pear tree.
No. Trying maybe, but no. But you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you focus on getting your roots right, your fruit will automatically be right. If you try to focus on getting your fruit right, you might start buying plastic fruit. And you know what? Plastic fruit actually looks better than the real thing.
It's true.
Yeah? Yeah. Like, yeah, but yeah, plastic fruit looks better than the real thing. It's more perfect, it's more juicy, it's more vivid in color. But when you go to eat it, you notice a difference. Right? When you go to eat it, you notice a difference. Plastic fruit does not have much nutritional value. Plastic Christianity doesn't either. When it really comes down to it, and you're really struggling in life, you're going to find the Christian who has character. You're not even going to bother with the number 5, the level 5, the level 6 Christian. You might start checking out the level 7 one because that's what you got. You know, that's what's available to you or something like that. But what you're really looking for is that level 9, level 10 Christian that you know is weathering the storm, has weathered the storm, and can advise you how to weather the storm. They're not just going to advise you to run from it. They're going to advise you to go through it. Look at your neighbor and say, through it. We are trying to make a case this week that you go through your issues. You don't avoid them. You don't run from them. You don't hide them. You go through them. And when you go through them, you're through. But it changes your life. It changes your life. Because you look at problems differently. You look at the storms of life differently. You look at God differently. And now you're ready to face it. That doesn't mean that you're excited to face it. It means that when you face it, you're excited for the results. I've been through some pretty intense struggles in my life. But I had enough of prior experience to know that your victory is always bigger than your battle. When you're through. Now let me tell you something. You probably know this, but I'm going to tell you anyway. When you're 7/8 of the way through the battle, that's not when it starts feeling better. Okay? 7/8 of the way through might be the hardest. Seven-eighths of the way through is not victory. 7/8 of the way through is better than 1/8 of the way through. But 7/8 of the way through does not necessarily feel good. It's when you get through. Some of you are 7/8 of the way through. And you could be wondering, am I ever going to get through? You could be wondering, how long? I don't know how long. I'm still in a battle that had lasted for 2.5 years. And I know I'm almost through. But I'm not quite sure how long it's going to take yet. But I'm already feeling the results of the spiritual push-ups. And I'm able to use it to help you this week, even though I'm not completely through myself. Because even in that, I have enough of strength to help somebody else. Look at your neighbor. Look them in the eye and say, you have enough of strength to help somebody else. Look at the other one and say it again. Look at them and say, you might not be through yet, but you have enough of strength to help somebody else. Are you with me? Does that make sense? This is yes and this is no. Does that make sense? God has this amazing way of having us help somebody else and getting help in the process. And when we seclude, when we isolate, when we shut down, we lose our way. When we help somebody else anyway, somehow God meets us there and helps us too. So never forget that in the middle of what you're going through, God might have your next step to be helping somebody else. And when you step up and do that, you might be surprised what happens in you, even if it's only push-ups. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Any questions? You don't have to have the whole story. Just tell them to submit to God.
Oh, submit to God.
Yeah. If they have already submitted to God, ask them what their next step is.
Because according to the Bible, there's scripture about two sides to a story.
Yeah, but two sides of the story have to both submit to God.
Oh, right.
See, we have been working with people for 25 years, and one thing we learned, if you come and ask advice, you are the one that we have in front of us. So guess what? We're going to work on you. You want us to work on your spouse, but the spouse isn't here. You are. So we're going to work on you. And if you get better, the spouse might get hope, and then they'll get better. But if you are just trying to get some more keys of how to go home and tell your spouse how wrong they are, you're probably not going to get very much better. But if you go home and give them some hope, you might be surprised how fast things change. That doesn't just work for spouses, it works for friends, it works for family, it works for church, it works for business. People need hope. In fact, I think Galen taught that the other day about hope, trust, right? It's a good way to figure out, where are people? Where are they? Do you know that a lot of people try to start with number 3? A lot of churches try to start with number 3. They try to get you personally responsible. That works great if you have hope and trust. Works wonderful. But if you don't have hope and trust, it doesn't work at all. It can't work. You try to give somebody this personal responsibility, and they're like, duh. And then people get frustrated. If you have children, works the same way. If they have hope and trust, you can give them personal responsibility. It works great. If they don't have hope and trust, it will not work. Works a whole lot better then if you find out, okay, so where did they lose their hope? How can we get hope back? How many of you have more hope than you had on Monday morning? How'd you get it? How did you get hope?
By seeing what God was doing in others.
Yeah. By hearing other people's testimonies. By the Revelation 12:11 says they overcame by the blood of the Lamb. Very key point. Blood of the Lamb. Right? Because Jesus did something at the cross that we could not do. He did something for us, and he paid for us. The second one is, and by the word of their testimony. There's something that happens when somebody gives a testimony of what God has done that gives somebody else hope. And the third one there in Revelation 12:11, and they loved not their life even unto death. That means that if you're scared to death to come up here and give your testimony, do it anyway. Because you will break through something. If you're scared to death to come up here and find your breakthrough, do it anyway. That's why when you were back here, I knew you're going to get a different experience if I can get you up front here. Because you're facing it at a different level if you come up here in front of all these nice people and you just spill your guts.
I was scared.
Right?
I was sweating.
If we could have gotten you free back there, might have taken us 3 times longer. Because you would have been holding back a little bit. But when you came up here, you gave it everything. Makes it easier. It would sound like or seem like it would be harder up here, but it's actually easier. Because you're more invested, you're more in. That makes sense? You cannot trust if you cannot keep agreements. One of the best ways to build trust is to make an agreement with somebody and keeping it. And that can be as simple as agreeing to meet at 7 o'clock. And if they're there at 6:59, you trust them. If they're there at 7:01, it can be a little bit like, okay, why were you late? And maybe there was a legitimate reason. But if they're late every time, and it's like, okay, I'm having a little bit harder time to trust you. Now, that doesn't mean trust just gets broken. You know what I'm saying is there's different levels to that. But when I, for instance, my brother David, when he agrees to do something, it's pretty much a done deal. Now, getting him to agree to it is a little challenging. Like, I'm serious. Because that's why, is because he will not agree to it until he realizes that, okay, yes, it is his job, and he can do it. But once he agrees to it, it's pretty much a done deal. In fact, we're in a meeting, and he agrees to, he's going to reach out to this person over here. By the end of the meeting, we're like, okay, so you're going to reach out to that person over there? Already did. Already done. Okay? Then there's other people on our team. The one person, oh yeah, I'll do it, I'll do it, I'll do it, I'll do it, I'll do it. A week later, did you do it? Oh no, not yet. A week later, did you do it? No, not yet. Okay? But they have other strengths. Right? But if you want to get something done, find somebody busy. If you want to get something done, find somebody who is busy. You know why they're busy? Because they get stuff done. Hello? If you're trying to find a person who's not busy to get it done for you, it might not get done. So backwards, it feels like, right? But isn't it true?
Absolutely.
Like, hey, can you get this done for me? I'm busy. I didn't ask if you're busy or not. I'm asking, can you get it done? Well, how soon do you need it done? By Thursday. Yep, I can do it by Thursday. Okay. 5 or 10 years before that, had a friend who had been a truck driver, and he had his back was messed up from an accident. So our friend convinced his friend to come and meet with us. The friend that came to meet with us only came because his other friend was hounding him to come. He didn't have any faith that anything would work. He didn't have any, he just basically did it to get his friend off his back. Came there, sat down, and I asked him, what is his story? Like, what happened? He was a truck driver. He had a double trailer coming down off a mountain, and I believe it was maybe a little icy. I'm not sure what it was. But as he's coming down off the mountain, there's a truck, a jackknife truck, across the road in front of him. And he has nowhere to go except down over the mountain or hitting this other truck. And in that moment, he basically told God he wants to die. Die quickly. Well, he didn't die. He wrecked, hurt his back. And so as we're going through this, he is upset at the doctors and he's upset at the nurses, and he has just had an awful time of it. We're getting him to, first of all, to choose to live, because he had made a death wish there. So we got him to repent of making that death wish and choosing to live. We got him to forgive the doctors and the nurses and just clear everything up and give everything to God. All at once, he jumps up out of his chair and he says, "My back doesn't hurt anymore." We hadn't prayed for him or anything. He just jumped up and it's like, "My back doesn't hurt anymore." Next thing we knew, and he had come in, with a cane, and next thing we knew, the cane was laying there, and he is 3/4 of the way out the driveway, like a quarter-mile driveway. He's 3/4 of the way out the driveway, walks out to the driveway and back in, came in the house all excited. He's like, "You are not going to believe this." He said, "I don't have any pain." And so we also knew that sometimes in the height of the moment, the adrenaline is rushing and the dopamine and all the stuff is going on in your body and you're feeling great. So call me in a week. Let me know what happens. He called me a week later. He said, "I'm walking 1.5 miles a day and I have no pain." So I believe that was held in by his death wish, by his bitterness at the doctors and his bitterness at the nurses, and his just being a victim to that accident, being a victim to life. And when he released all that, he got healed.